So today I'm going to show you how to make a balaclava, or a hooded neck warmer. And this can be tightened as well as these straps. So first thing you're going to want to do is grab your fabric. And I've placed mine with right sides facing together. And then from there, I'm just going to determine which way is the stretchy way. So it stretches this way to that way. And this is on a fold. So I'm going to place my pattern on the fold. And then I have folded this just because it's easier and I wanted to add some length to my neck piece. And then we just flip it over. So it looks like it's about the length of this whole piece that we're going to cut out. For this one, we want the stretch to be along this way. It doesn't really matter if this part stretches. So again, it's stretching this way. We're going to line up the hood here, and then we're just going to flip it and do the opposite side. So this is essentially how the balaclava will look at the end. And you notice that patterns go two different directions because we cut it out like this. So the reason why I did it like this is so we could have the stretch on this way. If you're more excited about having the pattern go the same way, you could cut those pieces out like this. And then the stretch would be on this seam and not this seam. But that's only if you want the pattern to match this way. Right, so this is stretchy, not really stretchy. Stretchy, not really stretchy. Just so you guys can get a better understanding. Right side's facing, so since we've already folded that, it's easy to just go in now and clip along this edge. Now we're going to put these to our serging machine and serge this edge, and serge this edge, and this edge, leaving these ones open. And this open on the side. I have my hooded piece that I'm going to start with. My tension is around a 2. So now I have this whole edge serged. We're going to do the same thing with the other side. So now I have 2 pieces did the same thing too. Moving on to our neck piece, where I'm just going to serge along that top edge. Okay, so just checking both sides to make sure that everything got caught by the serger. And now we're on to our next step. So now we're going to start with this piece. And I'm going to open the side, stick my hand all the way through, and I'm just going to grab a hold of this serged piece. Now we pull it back through, and we line up these edges. For me, I like to have one seam going one way and then the opposite seam going the other way, just to reduce the bulk on this part. And I'm just going to follow the other edges, kind of give it a shake so we can see the shape that it's creating. And we're going to continue to pin all the way around. Now I like to kind of shake it, make both pieces line up properly so there's no wrinkles. So I'm going to clip the opposite end first. And then from there I can start to clip all the way around. Same thing with the other side. So now we have it clipped all the way around. And then the opposite side is the folded edge. Put that aside. Now moving towards our hood pieces. We open this one up. We open this one up. And we're going to connect these 2 points. So when they're laying like this, I like to just hold this one. Again, seam going one way. I'm going to take this one, place the seam going the opposite way, and just line up at the top. Follow the edges down to the corners. And just clip along the edge on both sides. So now we have one piece inserted into the other. When you lay them flat, this is how it looks. So we have this edge that goes over the front of your face. And that's what's going to get serged right now. From here, we can take the bottom edge, because we can do this all at once, and just notice this seam is facing this way. So we're going to follow this down and face it the same way, while the opposite seam goes the other way. And then we can clip, again, following it to the corners. We're serging along the top edge and the bottom edge, leaving a little space open right here. And I can show you how to do that on the serger, as well as the neck piece. We're going to leave a little space open to turn it inside out. So let's go to the serger again. So we'll start with our hood. So again, if we take this, we look at it like this. This piece, the one that goes around the face, doesn't need a hole, so we can just serge all the way around. Good, so now that top piece here is all serged. Now we're going to work with the bottom piece. So the way I like to do it is I like to start a little bit and then stop, veer off, and then come back in and do the rest. Just so when you're folding it in, it's easier that you're not dealing with the corner at all. So I like to leave about maybe 3 inches open. You can see I stopped here and it's starting again right here. All right, so now we have our hooded piece. We're just going to set that aside right now while we work on our neck piece. I like to start it before the seam here. And as we approach the end, making sure we're leaving a little. All right, and before we turn these inside out, I like to just go in and tie a knot. Right there. On these, and then on this piece as well. Finding where our hole is. You can just trim these down. And now we're gonna take them inside out. So this is our neck piece. Reaching my hand in, just pulling out the right side. So this is our opening here. Taking our hood. I like to go in and find the opposite corner, using my fingers to kind of just push it in, and that's the corner that I'll pull out. And for this corner, I can just turn it right here. So this is where I like to determine what side I want to be the outside and what side I want to be the inside. So I'm kind of just looking at what side I like better. I like this side better. So on this hooded part, I want to make sure all our seams are kind of properly flat. So I just like to work my hands here, and then I'm creating a lip. So if this is the inside, the outside is going to be folded over a little bit. I'm just going to pin here, and I'll pin here. So now that that is pinned, we have both of our holes here and here. And I'm just going to use a ladder stitch to stitch these up. Okay, so I will start my ladder stitch, and I'm just going to insert my needle and thread right at the end here. The opening starts. Making sure it's kind of folded the same amount on both sides. And then going on the opposite side of where I started, just going to feed it through, going in and out, just like that. You don't have to pull it super tight. Then on the opposite side, we're going to line up, going in and out. So not all the way over to this side, just on this piece of fabric. You can pull it tight and see how it brings everything together. So we're just going to continue to do that until the hole is closed. All right, so it is all closed. Now I'm just going to make a double knot. And you can feed it back through, just so the string goes back through, so it's not sticking out. Trim it. And here you could do a straight stitch on the machine if you wanted to. I just don't like how it adds that bulk and how you can kind of see it. So I've opted to do a ladder stitch. And just close it off. Hiding it in the seam. And trimming the string. So back to our neck piece. Just going to get it all situated here. So I have the top seam kind of just all the way around the top. And this is where we just close the hole. So this is going to be the inside. So what I'm going to do to the top is fold it over just like we did to the collar, or sorry, just like we did to the hood. So just going all the way around and pinning it. Okay. So yeah, but it's up to you to determine if you want the channel that the string goes through either on this side. I prefer this side, or you could do it on this side. But the reason why we pinned that is so I can lay it flat. So then you can pin this side here. You guys have to take these out. And sometimes I just like to put a pin where we did close that hole, just so I know where it is, so I make sure it's on the inside. So for this part, we want to make sure that we're doing a stretchy stitch, because this is the part that is going to be stretchy around the collar or around the neckband. So for my settings, I have this special stitch where it's a stretch straight stitch. And that's what I'm going to be using because my zigzag doesn't really work that well. But if you want to opt out to use a zigzag stitch here, whenever I'm using that straight stretch stitch, then feel free to do so. So this piece is turned inside out. So essentially when we sew on this side, the inside, that is going to be the right side that's facing out. So inside, outside, that's how I'm going to start stitching. And I always like to start near the seam. Again, you can use straight stitch here. And I like to determine the width by these little clips. So I'm just looking, it's probably about 3/4 of an inch that we're leaving the space for the cord. I like to get these kind of flattened as well. That's why I like to start there. Sometimes I'll even put this little guide here just to make sure everything is staying the same. So now I have this top band and it's still stretchy because I use that straight stretch stitch. So again, if you wanted to use zigzag here, that would be a better option if your machine has that. All right. So now we're going to put this one aside until later. And we're moving on to the collar piece, or the hood piece. So we're just going to do that same stitch across the top of this because that's where the cord for the channel will run. So again, I'm starting about 1 inch from that edge, kind of lining it up with the back of your presser foot. And for this, I'm using a Q foot, which allows the fabric to kind of go easier together instead of just like a regular foot, but it's all preference and trial and error. Right, so now we have our finished piece. That's the inside. And there's the outside. And you can see how we kind of kept that seam on the inside edge. So when you're looking at it from the outside, you can't see that. Along the bottom, and also turn in those edges and just pin them. So now we're going to connect the 2 layers. So I put this pin to let us know that this is the inside and I need to turn it inside out. So now this is the right side facing out. And I can take that pin out just so I don't stab myself. And we're going to have our cord at the top. Make sure everything is smoothed out on top of each other. Everything is lined up. So from here, I like to go down about 6 inches. And so I've just taken some pins and marked on this side and on this side as well. So both sides are even. And then from there, I like to take my ruler and stick it through. So through both layers. And then the reason why we pinned all these down was so that they can lay flat. So before we get started, I like to make sure that this seam is as flat as possible. And I like to pin it as well. So just on this one. And from here, I'm going to line up this with this. So it's sitting right at our marker for 6 inches. Just bringing it across. And then taking our pins. And you can go through and feel that it hits the ruler. And then coming out the other side. So just moving the ruler if you need to. Use the longer quilting pins here, just so you have some more like over to the side. This is how it's easier. And tie a few at the top. Just turn over that side. We're going to follow those marker pins that we have down before. Same thing on the side. I'm going to take out the marker pins. Ones are flat. And Now we can sew this channel along the bottom, all the way along the bottom, inside out. Careful not to stab yourself with the pins. And then I'm going to bring it over to my machine. Okay, so I have my hood inside out. Looks like this. Then I'm going to find where it starts on one side. So this is where we want our needle to go, right here. You might need to lift your presser foot, kind of maneuver to get in here. And then leaving these pins here also helps me tell where that edge should start. I'm switching it to just a straight stitch, but if you would rather use a zigzag, here's where you would use a zigzag stitch. So just applying the tension that I need. Just going in, taking out all the pins and the clips. We just have to add the cord for the inside and the cord that goes around the top. So with fleece, I just do a little cut in the fabric because it doesn't normally fray. So I measure about 2 inches up, and then I pinch the seam, do a little trim, a little slit right there. And it's not on the opposite side, so it's just on the inside that you have that. Then you take a safety pin and you feed it through your elastic. And you're going to put it through that hole and just feed it through the channel. On the side, you can measure 2 inches up, pinch the inside, just a little cut, doesn't have to be big at all. And pull your safety pin. And if you're using this flat elastic like I have, I just make sure that it's not turning inside here at all. Feed it through here. I have to use a pair of tweezers. I'm doing double or triple knot. Bring it down. These. And here's more to light them with a lighter you can. And just press. For this part on the inside, I like to put the cord kind of hidden behind this. So I go in, grab kind of right around here, again pinch the edges so you're only getting one side. Do your little trim. And you just do the same thing on this side, and then your balaclava is finished. finished product.